Hi Sag, welcome to your October 2016 general tarot reading. So I had started the reading and I realized that I did not kind of announce the month, and I just kind of almost like continued because I just did the love reading and this is the general reading for October. So I wanted to just start over, so that's why the card's already put out here. But I'm doing this back to back with the love reading just as a little experiment to see if we can see similar themes. And I do see some similar themes. And one of them is the overall energy, which is a Cups card. The Queen of Cups. This is a very feminine energy. The Queen is feminine, the Cups are feminine. So it's really internalized kind of an energy. It's not an ambitious, worldly time. It's more of a thoughtful, receptive period. And it can be, this Queen of Cups, which I think is representing the sign of Sagittarius, can be quite psychic and is really very nurturing. It's a very loving energy. Queens represent mothers, so it could be that your mother will figure into your life in October, or that you become a mother in October. Either you conceive or you give birth, and I'm talking about men as well as women. Even if you don't physically give birth to the child, it's still this new period of time in your life when you're nurturing a child, bringing a child into the world. So it's just there's a passivity in it. It's not an active energy, which is represented by the recent past. The recent past has a Six of Wands. In September, we shift from Jupiter in Virgo to Libra. Now, when it was in Virgo, it was in the 10th house of career. And so some Sagittarians may have seen expansion in their careers. And as a matter of fact, as I'm taping this, it is September, and it is during that time. We have Mercury retrograde. We have all this stuff happening in the 10th house. The North Node is in the 10th house, the transiting North Node, all these transits, new moon in the 10th house, well, actually a solar eclipse. So there might have been some wonderful things that have transpired for you career-wise. And now that contrast of you being turning inwards. Because the Six of Wands is all about victory, receiving some kind of recognition and feeling victorious. And then we have for the upcoming near futures the Page of Cups. So this is an even more youthful energy. This is associated with children being pages, but it could be a message. Pages do relate to messages that have to do with an emotional nature. You see the fish, we could say it might be a Pisces individual, but it could be another water sign. These could be water signs that are figuring into things. So we're talking about Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. This is a very naive kind of an energy. That's why, because it is associated with children, people who are gullible. So it could be that some of you will be dealing with somebody who is a Pisces, or is that kind of person who is very sensitive and naive, somewhat gullible. Now, this could be in a work situation if you are in charge. Queens can represent positions of authority, although if they are, it's not, I would not say it's a very nurturing kind of a boss. It's not a cutthroat type of an energy. You know, kings can be very successful, but they can also be a bit, you know, I would say domineering or just intimidating. And the Queen of Cups, if this is a boss, is somebody who is very thoughtful about the people that that work under her. And so there may be somebody, if you're a business owner, let's say, and you hire somebody, it might be somebody who is more sensitive. And so you're going to have to realize this as you deal with this person, because as a Sagittarian, you may make assumptions that are not true, and they're not coming from the same place as you. And you have to make sure that you don't, that this person, because this person may be easily offended because they are so sensitive. Even though you are in this mode right now of being quite sensitive yourself, if you are the Queen of Cups, you might find that you're more psychic, you're more sensitive, you're more nurturing than you typically are, but you're still a Sagittarian. And we tend to be, whether we're men or women, we tend to be, sometimes we can be sarcastic, sometimes we can be a little bit insensitive for whatever reason. A lot of it has to do with just, you know, the nature of the fire signs, you know, very passionate, but not necessarily sensitive. There's a difference. There's a difference. And we have to understand that sometimes. But this could, you know, I'm thinking in terms of any kind of, because I'm seeing like a business, like you owning a business rather than working for somebody else. Because the Six of Wands, you know, wands relate to entrepreneurship deals. And then the Queen is somebody, is not an underling. A queen is never taking orders from somebody unless it's the king. She might take orders from the king, but she's certainly, well, not necessarily, right? I don't know. In England, I don't think the queens have a king that tells them what to do, just like there's a Queen of England. I don't know how that works, though. When the king is alive and he's in charge and the queen is like under him, I don't know how that works. But anyway, I just feel like this message is specifically for people who have their own businesses and maybe are, you know, it's time maybe for you that you are hiring somebody else. You might be dealing with somebody who is very sensitive. If this is a personal relationship, this could be that somebody who's a water sign. It might have been that you were with a fire sign. So that is a Leo, an Aries, or a fellow Sagittarian. And now you are dealing with a Pisces, but also could be Scorpio or Cancer individual. I would say specifically Pisces. Not just because the fish is jumping out of the cup, but because Pisces gives off that particular vulnerable and gullible kind of a vibe, more than a Scorpio for sure, or even a Cancerian individual. And, you know, it's interesting because if this is a personal relationship, you may feel like you're on the same page with this person. But my feeling is that unless that fire sign person was really an asshat, and I used that same word before, that fire sign person is much more, you know, on the same page with you. You may have found that person to be insensitive, self-absorbed, and even, you know, especially insensitive, and felt that they, you know, that this other person, you see the contrast, this other person is very thoughtful and you know, cares about other people's feelings. But you're more, because since you're a fire sign, you're more like the person, this person. It just might mean that you both have tempers, and so you flare up that way, your egos flare up. But the person who's a water sign, it might not make it, because it's too, you have to walk on eggshells with this person probably. And maybe right now this is showing you you're walking on eggshells. And you're pretending to be this, you know, sensitive person, but you're really a Sagittarian at the end of the day. The higher message is, and this is interesting, I think this is for if you have started your own business. This, you see the scales, this is pentacles, it relates to money and career. This is about getting what you're worth, okay? This is your worth and the fairness of it. So you may have gone into business for yourself because you were dealing with someone who was not really treating you fairly, not giving you what you deserve, not respecting what you brought to the company, and so you said, okay, I'll just do it by myself. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about it, and this could be in a business situation. This person might have been very ambitious, and sorry, there was some kind of alarm that went off, sirens. And so I turned off the recording, and I can't remember if I was speaking specifically of this card, so I'm going to continue. That's very interesting. I just noticed this, is that we have 3 6s here, okay? And the number 6 in the tarot relates to home and family. Like the number 4 relates to home and family in astrology, although here's a 4 and this relates to a happy home. But there's a balance, I think, with the number 6. And in this case, you see the scales, is that it's about getting proper compensation, because this is with the pentacles. It's going to be of a material nature. And as I was saying, it could be that you were in some kind of a job that was rough and tumble. Maybe it was very competitive, a highly competitive environment, or just a highly aggressive environment. Maybe you made money with, what do they call those things? Where you get the money, you're not getting a wage, you're getting, this is what happens when I do these readings first thing in the morning. Where you're just getting, not bonuses, but you're getting it from your commission. I think that's what I meant to say. And, you know, like for instance, if you are a real estate agent, or were one, and it was a very competitive environment, and it was also it might have been very lucrative, and you might have been very good at it. With the 6, it's a victory, but it might not have been good for you emotionally, and so now you've gravitated towards something that's much more mellow and much more, rather than just this material benefit where it's all about, okay, did you make another sale? Did you make another sale? It's something where you're dealing with spiritual matters or creative matters, which are like spiritual matters, and so you're feeling much more like you're tapping into that dimension rather than just the materialistic. And this is about getting what you deserve. It's like a fair compensation. So some of you may not have quit your jobs or anything like that, but it's going to be that you need to think about that. That you know, if you're unhappy with something, you know, and you feel like you're not being paid what you are worth, what is keeping you there? That's on you at some point. You know, you can't just, sometimes you can't rely on other people to do the right thing. And the card that relates to what's crossing you is a 6 of Swords. So this, in the upright position, this would be somebody who is leaving one, you know, situation full of turmoil and going to some place of more harmony. And this could definitely, you know, be exactly what I just said, you know, in a workplace that might be very cutthroat, going to a place where there's more harmony, there's more balance, and it's just more mellow. But in the challenge position, you may be resisting doing that. And it may be that you are, you know, the typical things. You're afraid of, like, oh gosh, I won't be making as much, I won't be whatever, what will happen, this is a sure thing. And really, that kind of thing is to me, it's erroneous thinking, because if you're somewhere where you're unhappy, it doesn't matter how much money you're getting. You know, you're not going to have a good quality of life. So it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You know, and I keep drawing number 6s in this reading. It's something that only you can decide, and that obviously there are some people who have special situations which may require them to forego their ultimate happiness, because, like, if you have to take care of a child and, you know, you need to have stability, and, you know, you don't want your child to have to move, and there's all kinds of reasons why you might not leave right away if you're in that sort of environment. But you can at least start thinking about it. And whenever you see swords, it's always ultimately in the realm of thought. It doesn't necessarily have to be actual action, but it's about, you know, how do you think? You know, what is your thinking like? Do you think positive thoughts? And not just positive, but like detailed thoughts. I mean, are you really researching the things that you want to do? Sometimes people just say, oh, it would be nice to live in this town. You know, they visit another town. Oh, it'd be nice to live here. And then that's where it ends. And there are other people who go, oh, wow, this is a nice town. Okay, I'm going to go on Craigslist and let's see what kind of apartments. You know, they're really taking it to the next level, because they're committed to making this happen. They're committed to going towards a peaceful situation. But it doesn't just fall in your lap. You have to, you know, put your energy into it. You know, it's like they say, pray and get your feet moving. And you can do both. You know, you don't have to be, this is a very receptive, the Queen of Cups and the Page of Cups. This is a very kind of intuitive, receptive, you know, not as active, passive energy. And there's a time to be passive. Meditation is a passive activity. You know, there's a difference between meditation and weightlifting. But, you know, it's not to say that weightlifting is stupid compared to meditation. They're just different. One is working on the outer, which is the body, and one is working on the inner, strengthening the inner. And sometimes we need to strengthen the inner, because we're so easily distracted and we're going, you know, from here to there. And so that's why both are important. The attitude to adopt, and again, this is another thing, even though this is a Wands card, this is in the position of the mindset to adopt. This is the Four of Wands, the happy home and the marriage. Okay, the happy home and happy marriage card. Okay, now, why is this attitude to adopt versus outright action? Well, it could be outright action for some people, but for some people, you're not there yet. For some people, if you are in a relationship and maybe you've kind of are being reactive, maybe you had an argument with somebody who represented the fiery energy of the fire signs, and you said, I can't deal with this person is too bossy, or this person is too self-absorbed. This is a card, I think, that's saying this is the person, the fire sign individual is the person you can make a life with. This kind of a person can be a very sympathetic person to you and may offer some insights into your life, but the fire sign person is much more compatible with you. Now, mileage may vary. There may be certain Sagittarians who have a lot of water in their charts, and they may do much better with a water sign individual. Or even if they have a lot of earth in their charts, earth and water are compatible. So I'm not going to make blanket statements, but in a way I have to make blanket statements or generalizations in general readings. I can't get into every permutation. So that's why I say things as broadly as I do. And broadly speaking, a fire sign individual is more compatible with you because you both have that kind of a mindset. You're not that domestic. Even if you have kids, even if you have a house, even if you have a garden, typically the fire signs and the air signs, and you know, this was an air sign. We were getting the swords relate to air. These signs, they may have family and houses and gardens, but their hearts are with life itself outside. You know, they tend to be more extroverted. Even, you know, I'm not an extroverted, I'm like an extroverted introvert. And this is like the best of both worlds for me because I can kind of share of myself and still retain that sense of privacy. And it's just that we like to imprint ourselves onto the greater stage of life, whereas the water and the earth signs are happy in their own little cocoons, and they like to be, and they nourish that. And we need both. We can't have everybody out there. We have enough people out there, you know, I was going to say starting YouTube. It seems like everybody's started a YouTube channel. Everybody's, you know, they're sharing their opinions and their thoughts. And that's great, but we have to have an audience too. And that's what the receptive quality comes in, you know. And I'm an audience too. I mean, I'm sure we all are. Even people that have YouTube channels have, you know, are also audiences to other people. I'm semi-joking, but we just tend to be more like that, and so you will tend to feel much more. There's a freedom, loving quality of the fire signs particularly, but also the air signs. And so we need our freedom. So even when you have this happy home, you need to have it with somebody who's going to give you a long leash, who's not going to try to keep you tied down. Okay, and this could be male or female who's trying to tie down the other person. Okay, and who feels tied down. It's not just the woman. Sometimes men feel tied down too. Okay, so that's very interesting. So this is really a card of happy domesticity. And the thing is that even if this is a card of career, if I'm looking at it from that level, it still is saying that you have to have a happy home. It's not enough that you have a job that pays 6 figures or whatever is considered, you know, the ultimate, maybe high 5 figures. It's not enough that you have that kind of a job. If the sacrifice is too great, then it's not going to be enough of a payoff to make more money. You're not going to have that happy home. You're going to have like a lot of stress in your life. And this is why, and I just, I recommend a book. I haven't read it in a really long time, but it's called Your Money or Your Life. And it's all about that issue because, you know, by simplifying your life, and you can also Google voluntary simplicity. By simplifying your life, you have a lot less of an overhead, and then you can have more time. And this is kind of like what I have done in my whole adult life. I've had a lot of time. Haven't had, you know, I'd like to have more money, and I'm working on that aspect, but I've had a lot of time. And, you know, so if you don't have money and you have a lot of time, that's not necessarily that great either, but I have found that it still is a lot more relaxing to not be on a hamster wheel, and you feel like, and this is kind of like that hamster wheel, the 6 of Wands. Even though it's a card of victory, I see it as it's victory. To me, it's at a price because you have to, you know, you will tend to have to, most times when you have that, well, you know what, I shouldn't say that, because, you know, you can have victories flow to you. You really can. It's when you think that you have to really just sacrifice and work, 60 hours a week to make it happen, that I would say it's a problem. But if you really love what you're doing, things will flow to you, I believe. And even if you're working long hours, it won't be that big of a deal. But usually in those cases, when you're working long hours doing what you love, you're in control. It's not that you're working for somebody else. That just tends to be how it shows up, because that's when you're working towards your dreams. Usually when you're working for somebody else, it's not necessarily what you want. Even if you are interested in the same business idea, like maybe it's the same kind of a product or service. If it's for somebody else, you're living out their dream. And that might be good temporarily, but you might not feel motivated to doing it for, more than a certain amount of hours a day. Whereas you may have inexhaustible energy when you're doing something for yourself. That's what I meant to say. The advice is the Eight of Wands, Swords. Now, the advice is not to be held back by your thoughts, which is what this card represents, and being oppressed by your thoughts. That's not the advice that is being offered. It would be seeing how your self-limiting beliefs imprison you, and how you do it to yourself, not how somebody else is doing it. Now I go back to what I said before. This is definitely the challenge, because you may know that you need to move on, but you may have a hard time moving on from whatever it is. And it could be for a personal relationship as well. In terms of a business, what are those self-limiting beliefs? And you did get a card based on, material energy. And it's like, what is this energy? Should this energy ever imprison us? Of course not. That's the challenge of money, is making sure that it's something that we honor, as we know that it's a part of life. Maybe we have other memories of lifetimes when we didn't need money and we resent it. Some of the people who are light workers, who may be vibrating at a higher level, they may have some of the biggest difficulties with the issue surrounding money. Whether it's accepting money in terms of the services you provide, you may undercut yourself because you feel that it's profane, that money is profane, and that there's just many reasons why people feel this way. If you're coming from past lifetimes, and you may not know this, where you were nuns, priests in the clergy, some kind of religious figure, you may not have handled money. So you may be, excessively impractical when it comes to money. That's what this is like a childlike, naive attitude. And this can affect your ability to know what you deserve. And it can be very uncomfortable. I feel like I really value money. And what I mean by that is, not only do I, value it, like I appreciate it, I don't scorn it, but I also feel that when I charge for services, I really appreciate when people pay for them. I don't take it for granted ever. So that's another thing, that some people don't appreciate their clients as much as they should, and they take it for granted. If you're the type of person who's a spendthrift, you may, or maybe you grew up with a lot of money, you may not see it as being that big of a deal. If somebody pays you $40 for something, for me, I do see it. I respect it. I honor it. But you can't fear it. You can't say, "Oh, I'm ripping this person off." It's a really uncomfortable topic, and for some of us, who consider ourselves on a spiritual path. So it's something to explore. There are definitely videos you can watch on YouTube which go into this and can, you know, make you feel a little bit more comfortable with it when you're kind of resisting it, because you know that resistance can create a blockage too. So those type of self-imprisoning thoughts are just the thoughts of lack, and that could be certainly true for some people where they're staying somewhere where they're feeling a lot of stress because they are afraid that there won't be enough of the thing that they really like to do. There's not going to be enough money, there's not going to be enough clientele. And you know, the best way to deal with that is maybe if you're thinking about starting a business, and that might be what this card represents. Maybe you're thinking about it, maybe you're not doing it, maybe you're thinking about it, maybe you're planning it. Do it, just put your toe in, and you know, don't throw a lot of money at something. Don't launch with these, you know, grandiose ideas. Just do something very humble, very small, and see how it works out for you. The outcome is the Knight of Swords. So this is a card of really, I think, you know, having the guts to to say what's on your mind and to really be direct about it. If this relates to a person, I'm talking about a particular situation, like a workplace situation, you may just tell your superior that it's not fair how you're being treated. And it could have to do with actual money, but it could have to do with other things surrounding the material situation, such as time. Maybe you want to telecommute. Maybe you don't want to be in the office. Maybe you're a mother who has children and you want to be home with their children more. So you want to have, it doesn't have to be maternity leave, but it might be maternity leave, but it might be, just flex time or something where you can have family time. And you might have to I think you're going to get to the point, because you see, something has to give. This Eight of Swords is somebody who is like, totally trapped. And they're even blindfolded, they're blindfolded. So they may be in denial. But there might be something that comes up for you that pushes you over that I was going to say ledge, but but pushes you over into the point of saying, that's it. And you finally have the guts to just state how you feel, and you're not going to pussyfoot around anymore because you want a certain thing to happen. And good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's wonderful. So definitely, have the guts to speak up and to just do so in a very direct manner, because that's what the Knight is all about. Now, the Knight sometimes is a bit chaotic, so watch for the tendency to just, once you get started, to just like let it all come out uncensored. Sagittarius, we sometimes put our feet in our mouth, plural, but we have to, when we communicate, we have to be discerning, we have to be thoughtful in order to make the greatest impact. So definitely tell this person how you feel. In a personal relationship, it may mean that you have to cut it off with a person who is a water sign individual, and maybe you're dreading it because you know that this person is very sensitive, and you may have to be very blunt. I have found that with certain people, you cannot, kind of let them down easily. I mean, you should never be hurtful, but you might have to just be very direct, because there are certain people, they will just cling to any, glimmer of opportunity or hope, I should say. And that, creates within you this sense of, oh no, this person is still trying to get in my good graces. I was trying to be nice about it. I don't want to be in a relationship with them anymore. I'm really in love with this. I realize I'm still in love with this fire sign person, or this person who has a fiery nature, who may or may not actually be a fire sign. Maybe it's a, whatchamacallit, an air sign. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And I did say in my love reading that Gemini specifically was highlighted, but then I also got the star card, and that's Aquarius. So it could be, you know, Gemini to Aquarius. Who knows? But in any case, yes, it looks like very interesting cards. Very interesting cards for you. And interesting in the sense that there are no major arcanas in this October reading, general reading for you. So what does that mean? Well, it could mean that this is a very quick passing energy, and that could be good in the sense that any kind of conflicts are quickly kind of swept away. I did pick some major arcanas for your love reading, so it might be for the business side of things that things are flowing quite nicely, or maybe you don't make that move yet, and so it's not really significant yet. Maybe it's all in the realm of thought. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this, Sagittarius. If you'd like a personal reading, please you know, go down to the description box, and my link to my site is there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.